Hello everyone, welcome to Ravi's biology classes. In this topic we will study about respiratory system in human beings. Let us understand or recapitulate a basic concept that we all know. We all know that organisms present on this earth all are made up of cells. So cell is a structural, functional, basic unit of any living organism. So this cell, which is having so many cell organelles present to carry out its various functions, its one of the major function is to produce the energy, and that process is called as respiration. So what it is there, what I have drawn, that it is a cell. So a generalized cell that we have understood. A cell requires some basic raw material to carry out the process of respiration, and that raw material is supplied to it through the blood stream. That raw material is glucose. Glucose enters into the cell through the blood stream and goes into the cytoplasm. Apart from glucose, it also requires oxygen. So oxygen is obtained from the atmospheric air. It is also received by the cell or transported to cell through the bloodstream, and oxygen also enters into the cell through the bloodstream. So here we have got oxygen. So glucose and oxygen, when both enter into the cell, they carry out an enzymatic reaction that is called as respiration. Respiration, which undergoes through glycolysis and Krebs cycle, and finally the products which are obtained after this process of respiration are carbon dioxide and energy, that is ATP, along with some amount of water is produced. Okay. So our concern is about the carbon dioxide. What happens to the carbon dioxide that is produced here? As we know, carbon dioxide cannot be stored inside the cell. So the carbon dioxide is also taken out of the cell and it is transported back through the bloodstream and it is exhaled out of our body. Okay. We are going to talk about this particular process of how oxygen comes into our body, into the cell, and what is the mechanism by which carbon dioxide is expelled out of the cell and out of our body, and the mechanism involved in it is carried out through a set of organs which constitute the respiratory system. This process of taking in oxygen, that is actually called as inhalation, and the process of expelling carbon dioxide, that is called as exhalation, is termed as breathing. How will we define breathing? So simply what you can say is process of inhaling oxygen and exhaling carbon dioxide is called as breathing. But the important thing to note here is there is no enzymatic activity going on here. We will see that no enzymatic activity took place here. And one more thing is, it is a completely mechanical process. As there is no enzymatic activity, so it is an mechanical activity or mechanical process. The last thing that we have to also pay attention is ATP requirement is not there. So ATP is also not required here. The simple inhalation and exhalation process of the living system does not involve ATP means it is a passive process. Just opposite of passive will be active when ATP will be involved. Let us now observe the organs involved in the respiratory system one by one. So, we will start from the primary organs through which the air actually enters into our body. Air enters through our nostrils. We are designed to inhale the air through the nostrils. So, it is called as nasal cavity. You can see nasal cavity is written here. Through the nasal cavity, when we inhale, the air goes through nasal passage, and through the nasal passage it runs down, and in its path it encounters the buccal cavity pathway also. Both these passages, they meet at one point here. They meet at one point called as pharynx. Just at the pharynx, we can observe this minutely, that epiglottis is mentioned. Epiglottis is what? If I can show you here, that if foot passage is this one, nasal passage is also following the same path, and at this particular region, which is called as pharynx, represented by a junction. It is actually a junction of foot passage, foot pipe and the windpipe. Here a circular organ is present. This is called as larynx, or in other words we can say that it is the voice box, right? It is the larynx. Covering the larynx, there is a opening present over here. This opening which is present here, this is called as glottis, and above this glottis there is a cover, there is a valve which is present above the glottis. This valve or the covering is called as epiglottis, which is present above the glottis. What it does? It actually prevents the food from going into the larynx or into the windpipe. The air, it passes into the windpipe. The windpipe is called as trachea. Before going into the trachea, as I have told you, there is a organ called as larynx. The larynx has the vocal cords which vibrate when the air passes through them, and that is why we say that voice box, it produces sound, and vibrations are there, where vibrations are produced, and vibrations, they produce the sound. So, this is a compact picture of the first portion of our respiratory tract. The nasal passage extends down through the larynx into the cartilaginous tube like structure which is called as trachea. This is trachea. Here trachea is present. As you can see, trachea is a muscular tube which continues from the larynx. Trachea is also having cartilaginous rings which surrounds it. These cartilaginous rings are present which surrounds the trachea to prevent it from getting collapsed. So, trachea is a muscular tube, but it is having the cartilaginous rings around itself. So, trachea is otherwise called as the windpipe through which the atmospheric air is gradually travelling in. Finally, we can see that trachea divides into two branches. These branches are called as primary bronchi. These are two branches, so they are called as right bronchus and left bronchus. This will be left bronchus. Further, we can say that the bronchi are divided further into many small and extensive branches. These branches are called as bronchioles. Thus, we can say that the air passes through each and every bronchiole in sufficient volume, so that the gases exchange will be at their maximum limit. So, what we have seen, that trachea is a muscular tube which is covered by the cartilaginous rings. Which are the cartilaginous rings? These are the cartilaginous rings. Why are they present? To prevent the collapse of the trachea. The trachea breaks up into two branches. These branches are called as bronchi, right bronchus and left bronchus. Bronchi further enters into the lungs. In the lungs, they further divide into many sub branches, and these sub branches are called as bronchioles. Bronchioles are also covered by the cartilaginous rings. So, cartilaginous rings are present throughout the windpipe. Let us have a closer look at the lungs. Lungs are very thin, very fragile organs which are formed of structural units called as alveoli. They are the sac like structures present at the end of each bronchiole. These are and they are the structural and functional unit of the lungs. Lungs are having the membranous coverings, and this membranous covering is called as pleura. This one is called as outer layer of the lungs, of the pleura, and this is the inner layer of the pleura. Between the two layers, it has got a fluid which is called as pleural fluid. What it does? It absorbs any kind of mechanical pressure, and it prevents the lungs from getting damaged. At the base of the lungs, we will find a muscular sheet is present. It is called as diaphragm. Whenever we are at resting condition or whenever we are exhaling, the diaphragm moves up into this inverted U-shaped structure, and whenever we inhale, the diaphragm extends down. So, we can show that this muscular sheet moves down. It moves down whenever we inhale, and whenever we exhale, it actually moves up. Let me show you here. E means exhalation and I means inhalation. And in this mechanism, what actually happening? It actually permits the contraction and expansion of the lung cavity. Next thing is very important. What makes this diaphragm move up and down? The diaphragm is helped by the muscles present attached to it. So, the muscles which are present, they actually help these lungs to expand its capacity to fill in with the air. The lungs are supported by the bony cavity, and that bony cavity is called as ribs. We can say that there are 12 pairs of ribs which are attached or which are protecting the our lungs. The diaphragm is also attached with the ribs and the muscles attached with the ribs. So, which kind of muscles they will be? They are the skeletal muscles, and specific name which is given to these skeletal muscles are intercostal muscles. There are two types of intercostal muscles: internal intercostal muscles and external intercostal muscles. They are attached to the rib cages, in turn they are attached to the diaphragm, and all of them they fuse together in the center of the chest cavity is called as the sternum. It is the chest bone. So, what we have understood, that this bony cavity provides the support which helps in the movement of the ribs and in expanding and contracting the lung capacity. These rib bones, they come under a particular section of the vertebral column, and they are attached to the thoracic vertebrae. Now, we know that alveoli are attached at the ends of the bronchioles, and they are the balloon like or sac like structures. But very important thing to understand and note here, that they are attached with the blood capillaries. They have a rich supply of the blood capillaries, right? And the blood capillaries, you will find that there are two colors. One is the blue color and one is the red color. Red color is carrying the oxygen rich blood, and it is coming from where? It is coming from the pulmonary vein. Okay, we will discuss more about this in when we talk about the circulation of blood in human beings. And the blue color blood capillaries are coming from or carrying the carbon dioxide rich blood, and they are a part of pulmonary artery. And you can see there is a tuft of blood capillaries surrounding the alveoli, and here the gaseous exchange take place. As I have told you that the red one is containing oxygen rich blood, and carbon dioxide rich blood is flowing into the pulmonary artery. So, this is a capillary network which is surrounding the one alveolar sac. The pulmonary artery is carrying the blood into the alveolar sac. Remember, pulmonary artery is carrying the blood into the alveolar sac, and it is coming from where? The blood is coming from the different tissues of the body. The alveolar sac has received atmospheric air. Okay, this is the bronchiole, right, branch of the bronchiole, and it has received what? It is received atmospheric air which is having oxygen in the higher concentration. Okay, and the oxygen which is in higher concentration, it reaches the alveolar sac and it gets exchanged with the blood. And in the process, what happens? The carbon dioxide which is present in the tissue fluid, in the tissue blood, in the blood capillaries, in the pulmonary arteriole, is given out into the alveolar sac, and it is given away. And here pulmonary venule, it takes away the oxygen rich blood. It takes away the oxygen rich blood after the oxygenation. But after seeing this whole process, this diagram, there might be a question in your mind that after all, what mechanism, what physical forces or what chemical forces would be there in the exchange of gases? But again, there should be only one process involved. As I have told you in the beginning, breathing is a mechanical process which does not involve any enzymatic activity, means there is no chemical method involving over here. So, which physical method is involving? This is due to the process of diffusion. Now, I hope that everyone knows about the process of diffusion. Diffusion is the movement of solutes, right? The movement of solutes from the higher concentration, from their higher concentration to the lower concentration. So, this is what in a very simple concept wise we have understood the diffusion. So, here what we can say, that in the tissue fluid, in the tissues, which gas was higher? In tissues, carbon dioxide concentration is higher. Okay. In the pulmonary artery, pulmonary arteriole, whose concentration is higher? Carbon dioxide concentration is higher. Okay. But at the same time, in the alveolar sac, whose concentration is higher? Oxygen concentration is higher. Why it is higher in the alveolar sac? Because in the atmospheric air, whose concentration is higher? Oxygen concentration is higher. Why? We know that oxygen concentration is higher. Why? Because we know that 21% of atmospheric air contains oxygen. Okay, and this 21% of oxygen comes into the alveolar sac. Okay. Now, just opposite happens. If carbon dioxide concentration is higher in this case, in the tissue fluid, oxygen will be less. Again, pulmonary arteriole, oxygen will be less. And here, if atmospheric air contains 21% oxygen, but carbon dioxide concentration is only 0.03%. So, that means in alveolar sac carbon dioxide concentration is very low. That is why the oxygen easily moves from the alveolar sac into the blood capillaries carrying the carbon dioxide rich blood, and thus the diffusion process takes place in the alveolar sac. So, this diffusion process is not a biochemical process, it is a simple mechanical process. And here, though the energy is not required, ATP is not required because of the huge concentration gradient. Understanding the diffusion through this diagram, we can see here that it is an alveolar sac. Air moves in and out of the alveolus due to the higher concentration of oxygen in the atmosphere and low concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmospheric air. Just the opposite happens in the tissue fluid, high concentration of carbon dioxide in the tissue blood and the blood capillaries, and low oxygen content inside the alveolar sac in the blood capillaries of the tissue fluid. So, easy diffusion takes place. The red blood cells, they bind with the oxygen, and which component of the red blood cells bind with the oxygen? Hemoglobin. Hemoglobin, it binds with the oxygen, and then it forms oxygenated hemoglobin. So, HbO2, and this particular oxygenated hemoglobin is now called as oxyhemoglobin. It is now called as oxyhemoglobin, and oxyhemoglobin always is red in color, bright red in color, whereas the red blood cell also have some affinity for the carbon dioxide, and whenever the red blood cells, they bind with carbon dioxide, again the same process happens, that is hemoglobin, it binds with carbon dioxide and it forms carbaminohemoglobin. Oxygen can be easily carried by the hemoglobin and by forming the oxyhemoglobin, but the carbon dioxide can be transported through plasma, okay, and also it can be transported through bound with the hemoglobin. These are the two ways in which the carbon dioxide can be transported, right. So, we have seen here that how the oxygen and carbon dioxide are exchanged at the alveolar sac, okay, and how is oxygen transported across to different tissues and the cells. Another simple representation to show that oxygen from the atmospheric air is entering the alveolar sac. Oxygen is absorbed into the blood capillaries, and carbon dioxide, which is high in concentration in the blood capillaries coming from the tissues, is given out of the blood into the alveolar sac and it is expelled out. So, this process is called as inhalation, represented by I, and other process is called as exhalation. So, in this manner, what we have seen, we have understood in a proper manner that how respiratory system, the organs involved in the respiratory system, carries out the process of breathing. We now understand that there is a striking difference between breathing and respiration. So, we will quickly look into some important points of differentiation between breathing and respiration. Breathing is what? Breathing is a mechanical process, whereas respiration is a biochemical process. Next, breathing involves passive diffusion of gases, whereas respiration involves enzymatic breakdown of glucose. Third point will be breathing does not involve ATP, whereas respiration, it consumes ATP and also generates ATP. The biochemical process involving glycolysis and Krebs cycle, it involves the it consumes the ATP because most of the enzymatic activities, they requires the energy, they are energy driven processes, but at the same time respiration generates ATP, it produces ATP. Breathing takes place at organ level, whereas respiration takes place at cellular level. No categorization is seen, whereas respiration, we have got two categories because we have got two types of respiration. One is called as aerobic respiration and another is anaerobic respiration. So everyone, I hope we have started with the topic of respiratory system and we have seen how breathing take place, what is the definition of breathing. We have seen that what are the important organs involved in the breathing process of the human respiratory system. We have talked about nasal passage, nasal cavity, the trachea, tracheal system, and the lungs, the presence of the ribs, the diaphragm, the movement of the diaphragm, the rib cage, and the exchange of gases that takes place in the alveoli, the mechanism of diffusion, and the brief and the brief differences between breathing and respiration. I hope this video was useful to you, and we will discuss more important topics like this in the future. Until we meet for the next time, I request if you have any doubts, you can clearly post your comments in the comment box, and you are free to ask any questions. I will be very happy to reply to your concerns. Thanks a lot.